Hi everyone, and welcome to a presentation on the taxonomy of quant models and strategies. So in taxonomy, we're trying to classify all these different types of quant models and strategies, sort of similar to, again, a building analogy, where uh, taking this picture of New York, for example, we have a notion of a building, and there may be many different classifications that architects use to classify buildings. And classifying things, one wants to, of course, bring some level of order to a collection of ideas. So this presentation is heavily based on this research paper, Best Practices in Research for Quantitative Equity Strategies by Cerniglia, Fabozzi, and Kolm. Terrific paper, definitely check it out. It will be in my references as well as in the description of this video. So the presentation is divided up as follows. I'll start by discussing the taxonomy of quant strategies. And this taxonomy is done by the research paper that I just mentioned. I'll then move on and give a discussion also on what makes a good model or strategy. And I'll end this video with my conclusion and references. So taxonomy. So when it comes to quant models, characteristics underlying these strategies vary substantially. And in this paper that I've mentioned, they've given us some attempt at classification. So strategies differ in their characteristics in the following sense. They differ in their motivation to trade, frequency of trade, information used to trade, and the markets traded. Also, it's worth noting and mentioning that both trading frequencies and holding periods are functions of the investment theory underlying the strategy and the empirical results covered in research. So for taxonomy, let's quickly discuss this table that I've taken from the paper, where they've made an attempt to classify the different quant strategies that one can think of and use. And I hope by discussing this, you may see something useful. So let me go through this quickly. We start with multi-factor strategies. So these are models that invest in equities based on multiple characteristics that replicate how investors make decisions. Next strategy, allocation decisions. So these are strategies that make decisions based on allocations to different countries, sectors, factor timing, regime switching, and so forth. Stock-specific strategies. So these are strategies that focus on the information specific to an individual equity security. Factor strategies. These are rule-based strategies that trade well-known equity risk premiums to earn returns. Next one, event studies. These are strategies that generate alpha from specific events. Market microstructure strategies. These are strategies that exploit profitable opportunities arising from the trading flows and dynamics of equity markets. Statistical arbitrage. So these are strategies that exploit systematic relationships among equity securities with similar characteristics. Textual strategies, these are quantitative strategies that trade based on qualitative textual signals, such as news reports, company documents, or internet searches. And finally, thematic or macro strategies. So these are strategies that trade baskets of equity securities based on broad schemes in the economic environment, technology, demographics, or other fields. So given this classification of strategies, you might be interested in further investigating one. You think that there might be an opportunity for profit, for example. And you might be wondering, what are some good characteristics that we should have in our strategy and model? So in this paper, they list 5 key properties of what makes a good quant model strategy. So let's go through this quickly. Starting with parsimony. So parsimony means having as little assumptions as possible in your model. Having too many assumptions could lead to, for example, overfitting your model. Next, tractability. Your model should have a good, clear description so that it's very easy to understand and follow. insightfulness. So here, your model should align with market dynamics, investor behavior, and investment theory. The empirical analysis, as well as the hypothesis, should be mutually reinforcing of one another. Next, predictability, which is an obvious one. You want your model to make robust forecasts. And finally, adaptability. So markets change, they're constantly changing, and these changes could have significant impact on the assumptions of your model strategy. So it's key to try and understand what these impacts would be under certain changes. So these are the 5 key properties of a good model and strategy. So when you are building a model or strategy, it's good to try and keep these things in mind. So finally, let me end with my conclusion. So we discussed a quick taxonomy of quant models as presented in the paper, and we discussed a few characteristics of what makes a model strategy good. So I hope you found this presentation useful in that sense. This is my reference. As I mentioned, it's heavily based on this paper. Please do check it out if you do find the things that I've mentioned here interesting. And with that, I thank you for your time. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more quant-related things, please do visit our YouTube channel and subscribe. Thank you.